clear. Oh, sorry, I'll take Honourable John Banks.
Of this bill, the original sponsor of this bill, said that it was not the intention to have these fun drugs, these mind-changing chemicals, these Sunday afternoon recreational highs, to be tested on animals. Well, if that is not the intention, then let's put it in the bill by way of accepting Mojo Mather's SOP. I don't think there's anyone in this Parliament that really believes in torturing animals. I don't think there's anyone in this Parliament that really wants to put any animal, whether it's a mouse or a rabbit or a beagle puppy, to any pain or suffering. I don't believe there's anyone in this Parliament like this. I'd be terribly surprised and disappointed if there was. But if we want to call this world-class legislation, and it's not the intention of the original sponsor of the bill, not my friend the Minister in the chair now, the original sponsor of the bill, to test these mind-changing drugs on animals, well, let's put it in the bill and seal it up once and for all in the names of protecting those creatures that live with us in this world that can't protect themselves. It wasn't so long ago when the EU said we're going to put an end to a generational testing regime of cosmetics on rabbits. Now, let me just give you the story on that. The reason rabbits are put into gurneys and tested by cosmetic laboratories across the world, now banned in Europe, is because, as you know, Mr. Chairman, rabbits don't blink. So you can drip the chemicals into their eyes to test the efficacy of the cosmetic in terms of causes of harm to humans by dripping them with needles into the eyes of rabbits that don't blink. And the EU said this is palpably wrong. It's a generation of maltreatment of these creatures, and we're going to stop it. Now, these animals that will be tested are grown puppies, beagle puppies, animals of choice in mainly countries like India and Asia, where there's no standard of animal ethic whatsoever. And I can recite chapter and verse where these places are and what is done in the name of testing drugs on animals at cut prices, cheap rates. And I say to the drug dealers and the drug manufacturers, if you wanted to or you need to test these drugs on animals, well, we say don't bother. Don't bother, it's not needed. If you can't prove your fun drug of choice is safe without putting animals to abject misery, you can't sell your drug. You can't sell your drug. And Mr. Speaker, I say to you in the House today, I condemn the use of these mind-altering substances for those of the fun-loving fraternity on a Sunday afternoon that think it might be good to get a high. But if they want to use these, and it is their drug of choice, well, so they can, but they shouldn't be subject to the testing for their safety on animals, whether it be mice, or whether it be rats, or whether it be rabbits, or whether it be puppies. The reality is the bill could well result in drugs being tested on animals in places like China and India, where animal welfare is shamefully non-existent. Mr. Chairman, but even worse, these animals are man's best friend. There's not one single member of this Parliament that will put up their hand right now and tell me that their much-loved puppy at home, dog at home, cat at home, or rabbit at home would be available for the testing of these chemicals, the fun-loving chemicals, for a Sunday afternoon. There won't be one member that would say, my dog Fido would be a candidate for these people that want to take these drugs to test if they're safe. Is there one person that would volunteer their poodle pup? Or more importantly, their hapless little beagle pup that happened to be one of the best creatures ever invented? Mr. Chairman, there's no reason to put animals to extreme pain. If we want this to be world-class legislation, then this Parliament should take a step back, Mr Speaker.
Honourable John Bean.
Take a step back and say, this afternoon we're going to put in place world-class legislation to test the safety of mind-altering chemicals for our young people, but we're going to make sure that there is no possibility at all that animals will be used to test these substances. And we would go up in lights around the world. Now, I care about young people. And I say from this Parliament, we shouldn't have young people taking these substances. But I care about animals, their welfare and their rights just as much. Just as much. And I want to put on record today that I like animals quite a lot better than I like a lot of people. And I feel it is my responsibility while I'm here in this Parliament to get up and speak on behalf of those creatures that we live together with on this earth that can't speak on their behalf. Because this afternoon, this is not about testing, animal testing for life-saving cancer research. It's not about that. We have to tolerate that in some form, although we don't like it. And I've been fighting the torture of rhesus monkeys for the purposes of testing, drug testing, for years across the world. That's another story for another day. But we could have world-class legislation because the minister, the sponsoring minister, the original minister said it's not our intention and it won't be necessary on many occasions, because most occasions, my friend and colleague for a long time says here, most occasions. Well, on the occasions when it's not most, why don't we say to the drug peddlers, no, this is not a substance that we're going to have because we want to be ethical, we want to be world leaders, we want to respect animals, but we want safety for our young kids with these mind-altering drugs. And we can have that by accepting Mojo Mathers' SOP today. Finally, can I say this to my Green Party friends? Do what I'm going to do. If this is defeated in this Parliament, represent your credentials, which are good on these issues. Represent your policies and philosophies and concepts about animal protection and animal rights, which are time-honoured in this House. And say no to this bill in its entirety. And take a stand. And take a stand. Because that's how I feel about this today, Mr Speaker. This is important that we in this Parliament clearly understand that we have a responsibility to protect animals at every turn, at every corner, every day. We are sacrificing animals at the altar of recreational drug use, albeit in the minority, albeit it's not our intention, albeit it won't be often. Often is too often when it comes to sacrificing a beagle puppy.
Clear current.